YouTube at all. All right. So, I don't know, my camera's all of a sudden really whacked out over here. See, what did I say? It's always something, right? I'm ready in one spot and totally not somewhere else. Let's see. Cut my head. I gotta do something about that. I don't know what though. Sorry, you guys. A little bit of fiddling. I guess that'll work, right? Better than nothing, I suppose. The professional studio that is my house. So YouTube 2 weeks ago, I think it was, I ran out of battery on you guys. And I apologize for that. I meant to plug in and I forgot. And then of course I got moving and that was the end of that. It's really hard. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just my. And then on Facebook last week, I got a notification that I had a copyright violation or something. I forget exactly what they said, but that part of the video was muted. And I don't know if they've resolved that or not. I don't play music for that very reason because somebody owns the rights to it. And I mean, what are you gonna sue me for? I got nothing. But I just don't. It's not the right thing to do. So I don't play any music. And one of my students said that, Teresa, she plays music at her house, right? So you can listen to whatever you want to while you're practicing. If you have a favorite collection or whatever playlist. Good grief, my brain is not working so good today, which doesn't bode well, does it? But you can play something at your place, right? I don't provide that part. So if you want it, certainly have it. Hopefully they've resolved that part of the issue and you don't have any muted sections. And truthfully, I don't know where it is or how long it is even. I've appealed it, but yeah. So that's what's going on. I'm just going to kind of flow today. I don't really have a direction or an area of focus. So just moving the body pretty much every which way and getting a little bit of everything. So remember that if you need a certain this or that, you're always welcome. Clearly, right? You're at home. I can't even see if you're not following along. To make the practice yours, right? And if you want to add a twist into something where I'm not twisting, go ahead, right? If that makes you a little bit delayed, right? Who cares? No one can see you. You're not distracting anyone else. So you do you always, right? If you wanted to sit on your mat and breathe for an hour, that is practicing yoga. So make sure I'm live. Okay. Sorry. So just remember that this is your practice. I'm the tour guide, and if you want to linger longer in a place, then that's entirely your right, your obligation, really. Right? This is to your body. It's not about me at all. So let's begin here with the heels aligned to the groin, sitting tall, making sure that the pelvis is upright. Relaxing into your hips and shoulders, engaging the belly, so the pelvic floor up, low belly in and up, tall through the sides. Go ahead and close your eyes. Bring the bottom tips of your ears back. And just be in this place. And sometimes this is all you need, right? Especially if you're pinched for time. Just drawing inward and being present in the moment. noticing and just taking a moment to be thankful for your breath. Gently allowing that breath to expand. Eventually finding that nice fold just beyond comfortable place. And then this is the point, right? Being mindful, present, connected to the breath. And keeping that as we begin to add movement. So extend the arms to the sides. Inhale as we lift them up. Exhaling the arms back down. Again. And once more. Back up to the top. And exhale just the left hand back to the mat. Keeping the pelvis connected to the mat, lengthening out the crown of the head. And the next inhale brings us back to center. Switching sides, exhale the right hand. Tipping to that second side. And then coming back up to the top. Let's take it over to the left again with the breath here. So we're exhaling. On the inhale, lengthen out. And as you exhale here, see if you can sink in a little deeper. Coming back up to the top, inhale. And using the breath over here on the second side. So exhaling in. Inhaling as you lengthen, maybe open a little bit more, and then exhale to sink into that stretch. Back up to the top. Exhaling the arms. And then flowing here as well. So inhale, come back up. Exhale, take your right hand forward and your left hand back. It's a little twist. Back up to the top, inhale. And then switch sides, so the left hand forward and the right hand back. With the breath, side to side like that. This time we're going to hold it. So as the right hand comes forward and the left hand comes back, stop and hold. So using the hands into the floor, sit a little bit taller. And then using the arms to sort of pull and press the body into a deeper twist. On your inhale, we're coming back up to the top. Twisting to the second side, letting the fingertips come all the way to the floor, holding here, and then using the floor to lengthen through the spine, maybe add a little bit of gentle pull and press. With the next inhale, we're coming back up to the top again here. And then exhaling the arms. All right. So let's come around onto hands and knees. Bringing yourself around. Everybody good. Making sure that the wrists are underneath the shoulders and the knees are underneath the hips. Spreading the fingers wide, nice and even on the hand. And then let's just begin with some cat-cows here. So inhale the belly toward the floor. Exhaling to round the spine toward the ceiling. Moving in and out through the spine. One more flow here. Finding that neutral spine. So keeping the belly pulled in, let's go ahead and extend the right leg back. Press through the heel, make that leg do some work. Toes are rotated straight down toward the floor using the hamstring at least as much as your glute. And then stretch the left arm forward. We'll release that side back to the mat. And then switch. So left leg back. Pressing through the heel, rotating the toes toward the floor. Right arm forward when you're ready. Releasing back down again. And moving back to that first side. So left leg, I don't remember where I was. Right leg, left arm. And then keeping the extension away from the body here, take the arm over to the left, the leg around to the right. Release the hand to the floor and take the toes over to the side here. So we're going to come up on the knee, getting tall, aligning the heel in line with the hip here. Toes are pointing forward. Let's extend the left arm. We're going to reach up and over the outside of the leg. So drawing the shoulder back. Again, making sure that the belly is engaged, protecting the back. You can lean on the leg a little. You don't want to go too crazy. And then let's come on up again, releasing the hands to the floor. So wrists under shoulders, hands are happy and even on the mat, right? We're gonna lift the right toes away from the floor and just hold. And it's easier if you lean a whole bunch, right? But try not to lean. Take the leg back and then release it down again. Same idea on that second side, extending the left leg and the right arm, or reverse if I screwed it up for you earlier. Extending away from the body, making sure the muscles are engaged, and then taking it out to the sides, keeping that idea of away. Taking the hand back to the floor, toes over to the side here, come on up on the knee. Again, align if you need to make that adjustment. Lifting the right arm, we're going to take it up and over. And then coming back up again, releasing the hands. Lifting the toes away from the mat. Again, don't worry about high, try and stay centered. We'll take the leg back and down again. So one more time then, let's extend the right leg and left arm. This time here, bend at the knee. Let's reach around and see about finding that foot. Pressing the foot into the hand, lifting the toes. Keep the knee pointing at the floor rather than the side. We're going to release that, stretch out long, and come on down again. Second side, left leg and right arm. When you're ready, bending the knee and finding the foot over here. Release the legs, stretch out long. And come on back down. From here, nice and easy, sitting your hips back and letting yourself just release into a child's pose. The arms can stay extended. You can bring them back by the heels. Rest the forehead maybe on your fists instead of the floor. And then we're going to come back up onto our all fours position. From here, let's go ahead and take the left hand, palm up. We're going to weave it under here. So maybe just dropping down to the elbow, or you can continue to reach over and drop all the way down to the shoulder. So take a second and make sure you're not sitting back with your heels towards your hips towards your heels, or leaning forward so that all the body weight is resting on your head, right? Find the middle. Spine is long and neutral. Your head and neck are comfortable here. And then if you want a bigger twist, you can use the floor. So we're just like we did earlier, right? Pressing the left arm down, pressing the right fingertips down, taking that shoulder back a little bit more. So in your head anyway, envision stacking your shoulders, keeping your spine tall, keeping your knees even on the mat. And let's take another big breath. We're gently going to release that. Coming back up into all fours. And then working to the second side. Same idea. Taking the right hand, weaving it under, whether you're just dropping down to the elbow. And the elbow should be kind of in the middle of your mat, right? Or the shoulder, right? If you lean to the right or the left, you're losing the alignment of your spine. So just checking in, making sure you're where you want to be. Absolutely make sure your head and neck are comfortable here. And then press into the arms more or less. And then we're going to release it, making our way back into our all fours. So from that all fours, transition into kneeling plank. So knees back or fingers forward. Staying neutral with the shoulders on the back, the belly's engaged here. Stay on the knees if you feel like that's you, or lift the knees away from the floor. Pressing through the heels, make the legs work. Keeping the pelvis in line, so try not to get droopy or lift your bottom too high, right in the middle. Let's go ahead and lift the hips then, moving toward down dog. And just letting yourself move and stretch. We'll come to settle in then. So thinking about the four corners of the hands, see if you can press your chest back, letting the head hang so your ears are about in line with your arms, right? Sinking the heels toward the floor, do not worry about them touching the mat. And we want to make sure the hands and feet are just as far apart as they were in plank because we're going to flow. So on an inhale, slide yourself forward, come to plank. With the exhale, take yourself back to down dog. Just super simple, forward and back like that. Making sure the belly stays engaged, the hips don't sag, protect your back. Let's go once more like that, forward and back. Holding in down dog then. Drop on down to the knees and give yourself a child's pose. A little bit of a break, and remember, you can, anytime you're in a plank, you can be in a kneeling plank. You can do pretty much everything from there, right? Or everything the same from there, I guess, is where I'm going with that. So let's come back to our down dog. We're going to slide forward, come to plank. Knees, of course, right? If you need them. Elbows back to the side, slow and controlled. Drop down to the belly. Everything touches the floor together, mostly. Release your toes, making sure that the hands are next to the side ribs rather than up underneath the shoulders. You just don't really have anywhere to go with the upper body, right? If they're too far forward. So they're next to the side ribs. We're hugging the elbows in. Let's just start off and roll a little bit. So with the inhale, pull them up by the ears, together on the back, down toward the hip bones, exhaling to release that. Super simple. A little shoulder shrug. Watching to keep the four corners of the hands into the mat and the elbows in toward the sides. Training your body, even when it's not necessarily participating a whole bunch, to be in the proper position. So we're going to add on to that. We're going to inhale, roll the shoulders, hold here for a moment, and pull like you're pulling your belly button forward. You created some space in the front of the body there. Keep pulling. So we want to feel our triceps, keeping the elbows to the waist, maybe a little bit of a press. Lifting the upper body. Check in with your elbows. Are they still into your sides? What about your hands? Are you still pretty even on the four corners? It's easy to lean into that outer wrist, isn't it? Let's release it. So we're going to lift up off the floor, everything together. So here, imagine pressing down into your knees and almost lift your belly away from the floor. Not quite, right? But almost engaging those muscles. And then press into the hands so that the chest and belly lift together. And we'll sit back into our child's pose again. So let's lift back to our down dog. Stepping the feet forward, we'll come to a standing fold. Checking in that the feet are up underneath the hip bones. Toes point forward. We want to be nice and even on the four corners of the feet, just like we talked about with our hands. And then let's work into those hamstrings a little bit more. So maybe just walk in place a little. And then come to the center and bend the knees enough that your belly will touch your thighs. So however much that is. Keeping the knees and the feet in that same hip bone distance, we're going to take the arms behind the legs and we're going to squeeze the belly to the thighs without squeezing the knees together. Keep that.
See if you can take your legs any straighter. And then releasing that, keeping the knees bent a little bit if you prefer here. We're going to take the fingers to the lower back and interlace there. Shoulder blades pull toward each other, knuckles stretch away. Making sure that the knuckles stay stretching away so that the shoulders stay away from the ears, and maybe the hands will lift up off of the lower back. Try not to hyperextend at the elbow and let those shoulders drop toward the ears. Right? You got one more breath here. And then we'll release the hands. So go ahead and take your legs straight. Walk the fingertips up to the thighs here and lift the upper body parallel to the floor. It's easier if we bend into the knees and sit the hips back, right? But try to keep the legs straight, hips over the ankles. Lean on the thighs if you feel like you need to lean with your hands. Shoulders stay back, the belly is working to support the lower back. And then if this is good enough, this is where you are. But if you want to add a little bit of body weight, take the arms down by the sides. So now you're not leaning anymore, right? Feel your triceps. You can take the arms out to the sides, adding a little bit more body weight. But again, be aware of the knees bending, the hips sitting back, and the spine rounding. We don't want any of that. Maybe extend the arms forward. Head in line with the arm bones. Try not to just droop your head to make that happen. And then go ahead and bend into your knees and come into a chair. So you may still be supported. You might have your arms out, up, wherever. We're going to take one more breath. With the next inhale, stretch up to the ceiling and release the arms. So let's take some sun salutes here. Sweaty even inside. Even inside in Florida right now. So follow your breath. Modify if you need to modify. On the inhale, stretch the arms up. Exhaling, take yourself over into fold. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, step yourself back into plank. Dropping down to the belly, knees if you need knees, right? Inhale, roll, pull, press for your cobra. And then release that. Elbows in, up and back, down dog. Inhaling, step forward, fold. Halfway up. And back over. Reaching all the way up to the ceiling. Exhale at the top. Again, like that. Inhale and lift. Exhale into your fold. Halfway up. Back to plank. And down to the belly on that same exhalation if you can. Inhale, roll for a cobra. Releasing back to down dog. Inhaling forward fold. Halfway up. Back over. All the way. And release. We've got one more and we're going to add in the little fun stuff, right? Take your time, make sure your alignment is there, and follow your breath. On the inhale, sit into a chair. And then exhale into your fold. Halfway up. Back to plank. All the way down. Inhaling for cobra. Releasing down dog. Inhaling the right foot forward into a lunge. Heel or knee to the mat, lifting the upper body. All the way back down again. Exhale, down dog. Inhaling into plank. Exhaling to the belly. Inhaling for cobra. Exhaling, down dog. Left foot forward on the inhale. Work the toes up there. Knee or heel to the mat and reach. Come on back down. Exhale, down dog. Forward into your plank. And down to the belly. Cobra. And back to down dog. Holding in down dog or dropping into child's pose. Slow the breath if you got a little out of breath. How are we doing, guys? You got one more breath where you are. And if you drop down, lift back to down dog. With the next inhale, we're stepping the feet forward, coming into standing fold. Halfway up. And back over. Sitting into chair. And exhale, release it. All right. So let's go ahead and take a nice big step back with the right foot. Left toes are pointing forward, right toes are tucked in a little bit, left heel aligns with the right instep, yeah? Bending into the left knee, make sure you see your big toe, stacking the knee over the ankle. And then we'll just extend the arms for warrior two. Keeping that back foot, four corners of the foot, even onto the mat. Check in with your pelvis, make sure that the hips are level to the floor. This right hip likes to kick up a little bit sometimes. Let's take that left leg straight. We're going to reach forward over the toes and then let the left hand fall on the right hand reach. So lean on the leg if you need to lean on the leg, otherwise that arm just sort of dangles down from the shoulder. Keeping the right shoulder kind of stacking on top of the left. Same idea with the hips, they're not quite stacked. Let's take that right arm over the ear. Stretching through the fingertips. Bringing it back up again, bring it all the way to the hip. And then bend it into the knee again here. We're going to take the left hand forward of the toes, hopping the right foot in until you can lift it away from the floor. So just like with triangle, we're trying to stack the hips and stack the shoulders. If you like to reach, of course, you can reach. You can look up at the ceiling, all kinds of fancy stuff. Otherwise, just focus on keeping the hips open and not falling on your face. We'll bend back into the knee, step back to warrior two. And then release that, stepping back to the top of the mat. All right, so same idea on our second side here. Let's go ahead and step the left foot back. When you're ready, bending into the knee, aligning the knee over the ankle, extending the arms. And always check in with your body. Notice if maybe the feet can be more open or if the hips are a little bit off here. Right? Making adjustments. The only thing you really want to be completely still in is Shavasana, right? So let's take ourselves into triangle, right leg straight, reach forward and hinge over. Leaning if you have to. Keeping the body open. Take that left arm over the ear. Give yourself an extra stretch here. And then bring it back up into the hip. Bend into the right knee, bringing the hand forward of the toes. Hop in. And then lift those toes away from the floor. Take your time, finding your balance, opening, maybe reaching, maybe looking. Again, work where you're at. You got one more breath. Bending back into the knees, we can step back for our warrior two. And then release it and step back to the top of the mat. That's always the hardest part. How you doing, guys? Everybody good? All right. So, grief. So let's take a nice step back with the right foot again. This time we're going to straddle. Toes point forward. Bringing the hands to the hips. So make sure the belly's engaged. If you need to lean on the thighs, of course, lean on the thighs. We want to keep those elbows back. And come over into a half fold. So parallel-ish to the floor-ish. Again, leaning if you need to lean. Just like when we had our feet together, trying to keep the hips in line with the ankles and not leaning back. Keep what you have here. If you have a deeper fold, allow yourself to go there. Shoulders stay back. Feeling even on your feet. Releasing the fingertips to the floor. Bending at the knees here if you need to. We're going to take the index and middle fingers and wrap them around the big toes. Elbows bend out to the sides. Legs are straight if you can make them straight. If they have to be a little bent, they are. You can pull against the toes and envision bringing your upper body, crown of the head to the mat between your feet. Let's release the toes. Taking the fingers here again to interlace behind the lower back. Shoulders pull toward each other, knuckles stretch away. Just like before, they might lift up off the lower back, but try not to get saggy, shoulders to ears, or hyperextend at the elbow just to make it happen. Actively stretching away from the body and pulling together on the back. Releasing the hands, let's take them down to the floor. And here we're going to turn the toes out to the corners a little bit. You might have to adjust them from there, but see what happens here. With the breath, on an exhale, go ahead and bend into the left knee. Let the hips sink over there. Inhale, come on back to the middle, and then exhale, bending into the right. So you're going to just go side to side like that. When you bend the knee, watch that the knee stays aligned over the ankle, pointing in the same direction as the toes. So again, you might be too wide, you might be too narrow, you might have your toes turned in or out too much. So just going to check in. See where you need to be. Let's go once more on each side. back to the middle. From here, turn your right toes in, turn your left toes toward the top of the mat, lunge, and step back to down dog. Let's go ahead and drop on down to the knees and sit back in child's pose for just a couple of breaths. And then we'll lift back up into down dog. So let's go ahead and slide the left knee up behind the left wrist. Drop down to the right knee. And stretch that leg long behind you. Trying to keep the heel in line with the hip here. Sometimes that leg will slide out to the side a little bit, so try and keep it aligned. You can leave your toes tucked under or flat to the floor back there, either one is fine. You may find that the knee likes to be more to the middle of your mat. That's okay, right? You can be stay directly behind, or maybe open it out to the left a little bit. Same thing with the heel. It might need to stay toward the groin. Maybe you can inch your toes a little bit toward the right hand. Trying to find center here. So it's easy to sort of rock. See if you can stay in the middle. And you can absolutely stay up on your hands, or you can drop down to maybe forearms, or all the way down, forehead to your hands or the floor. And even here, trying to maintain center. So sometimes you kind of lay down and you get really relaxed and flop, right? See if you can find the middle between squeezing and flopping. So we're actively engaged, but we're still aligned and as relaxed in there as you can get. One more nice big breath. On an inhale, make your way back up. And gently bring yourself back into down dog. Wiggling around a little bit here. And then we will move to the second side. So let's bring the right knee up. Slide that left leg back. Again, just kind of check in that your left leg is where you want it to be. Adjusting the right knee, whether it's in or out. Maybe the toes forward or not. Finding your center here. And then deciding whether to stay up on the hands or drop on down. Taking just a couple more breaths here, sinking in wherever in is on this side. We'll make our way back up onto the hands again. And easy, nice and easy here, back to down dog. Wiggling, get a stretch. Let's drop on down to the knees and take child's pose again, but maybe this time with the knees a little wider. Sinking the hips back. checking in that the toes are touching, right? So bring your toes to touch. Open the knees as wide as you need to make this next little piece happen. Coming forward. And then continue to come forward and down maybe, right? So we want to keep the knees wide, the toes touching each other and touching the floor, and maybe sinking the hips to the floor, maybe. So wiggle yourself in, adjust. If you don't make it all the way to the floor, don't panic, right? And notice how it feels like the knees are trying to squeeze together. Well, that ain't gonna happen, is it? Right? So support with the body, or if you're in a position to release that a little bit. We're gonna take one more breath here. And then work our way back up. Bringing the knees back in. One more time back in your child's pose. So we're going to come to sit up on the heels here and then bring the legs around front. So back into your seated position. Check in, everybody all right? Legs are stretched out long. Making sure the pelvis is upright, just like we did at the very beginning. Sitting up nice and tall. Let's stretch the arms and hinge forward into fold. Letting your hands fall, relax your shoulders down and back. With the next inhale, let's make our way back up. Releasing the arms. Bringing the left shin parallel to the top edge of the mat. And you can actually be at the top edge if that works for you, right? We want to flex that foot like crazy. And again, make this shin as parallel to the top of the mat as you can. Flex your right foot, and that outer ankle bone is going to set down on top of the left knee. Right? If there ain't no way that's happening, bring it in front of. And then you're trying to make that shin parallel to the top edge of the mat as well. So whether you're in front of or on top of, the idea is to stack the shins. Right? Making sure that you're still even in your seat as much as you can be. Sitting up nice and tall. Work to keep the feet flexed. And then maybe take the hands to the soles of the feet. Press in with the hands, but then push back out with your feet. You can stay upright or hinge forward. Hinging from the hip. Try not to just round your upper back to get in there. Right? Hinging from the hip is where the sensation comes. Or shouldn't, right? Let's take another big breath. And then we'll hinge back up again. Uncross. Wiggle a little bit if you feel like you need to wiggle. And then we have to do the other side too. So taking the right shin on the bottom there, flexing the foot parallel-ish to the top edge of the mat, switching sides so that that left ankle bone is either on top of or in front of, right? We don't want to let it slide to the inside, right? Because then the ankle doesn't stay neutral and that can cause the knee to go too far, the hip to be unhappy, and we don't want that, right? So stacking-ish, sitting up on the pelvis, lengthening your spine here, using the hands. Sometimes that
has a little bit of a benefit, right? And maybe hinging forward. And you'll find a place that is enough. If you're feeling the sensation with the very first move, then you don't have to add all the other stuff. So finding where it is and working there, and maybe someday it's a little bit different, but maybe not. And sometimes it becomes a little less even. That's a hard one to swallow sometimes. But I used to be able to. Take another breath. Hinging back up. Uncrossing the legs. Stretch them out, maybe wiggle them around a little bit. Let's go ahead and take the feet flat to the floor. Make sure you're forward enough. Hang on to your hamstrings, so you curve your spine, and roll on down to your back. Bringing the knees into the chest and just rocking. We'll bring the feet flat to the floor. Opening the arms out into a T position here. Remember, you can always make this last twist yours, but maybe today take the hips and shift them over to the left as you drop your knees over to the right. Finding length in your spine, trying to relax the left shoulder, maybe looking over the left shoulder if you like. Leaving the knees bent if that's better for you, or taking maybe just the left leg straight, or both if you like. Working your toes somewhere near that right hand. In the direction of, anyway. Let's take another big breath. And then bending at the knee again here if you need to. Make your way back up to center. And we'll switch sides. So hips to the right, knees to the left. Making any adjustments you need over here. Maybe taking the right leg or both legs straight, adding in a little bit if and when you're ready for that. Let's take just another couple breaths over here.
Bending at the knee again if you need, and making your way back up to center. Aligning the spine, and then drawing the knees into the chest, and letting yourself rock again. Squeeze the knees in, pull the forehead toward the knees, and give yourself a hug. We'll release it out into a full body stretch. And then release the stretch, bringing the arms down the sides. Taking a moment to align the body if you feel a little crooked. And then when you find the alignment and that comfortable place for you, release the muscles. Feeling heavy into the mat. Releasing your breath. And trying to keep the mind in that nice, quiet, present place. Even though the body isn't doing anything anymore.
Slowly draw in a deep, cleansing breath. And then let it all go. Restoring small movements to the body first. Gradually allow yourself to move and stretch. And when you're ready, taking the feet flat to the floor, slowly and gently make your way back up to seated. Sitting well, and bringing the palms to touch. Bowing to the light within. Namaste. Thanks for joining me today, you guys. I'm gonna try and do an event next week, and it's telling me I can bring, I think it says 3 people on screen with me. Yeah, up to three people. So if you're willing and able, don't worry about a clean house or whatever, just find your yoga space. If you're willing to, I'd love to have you join me over on Facebook. If that's not happening, don't worry about it, but join me anyway. Have a great week, and I will see you next week, if not before. Bye.